call the regular meeting, Aurora Housing Authority for Wednesday, September 28, 2016 to order. Roll call, please.
Bill Powell,
Present.
Melanie Whitley,
Commissioner Wimbley is on her way. She'll be here.
Ray Cruz,
Present.
Scott Boris,
I haven't spoken to Commissioner Boris, so I assume he'll be here as well.
Dave Richard,
Here.
Mariana Hilla,
Commissioner Hill will not be here. We'll make an announcement a little bit later.
Joe Brisson,
Here. There comes Scott.
Thanks, sir.
Oh, you?
I know. Chief, sorry. I should have called.
See, he was making deals all the way to the door.
All the way to the door.
All right, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting for August 24, 2016. Anybody?
Move that we approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
They're very detailed.
Yes. Yes, they were. Public comments. I see we have Sharon Ivory with us today and Robert Johnson. So Sharon, if you, how you doing?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
point of clarification.
Yes,
Do we have a time limit on public comments?
3 minutes.
Okay, and who's in charge of keeping that?
I will make sure that I keep saying.
Thank you.
I just want to say welcome everybody, glad to be here. I did have a comment about Lieutenant Councilman, but I already spoke with Maria and Mr. Gregory about it, so I already know that's what it is and stuff. But I would like to invite anybody who want to come out, because I'm going to do a brief meeting with the new tenants and a Thanksgiving dinner at Maple Terrace in the community room, and I would like for y'all to come out just to see how, I put things together, how everything go. And I want y'all, just come and give me some feedback on it and stuff like that, and do pictures.
Okay, so this is gonna be November, I take it then?
Yes, it's gonna be the second week of November, because November 29th, I'm having a knee replacement, so I won't be able to do nothing, so I'm gonna do it 2 weeks before then.
Okay.
So,
Can you make sure that you get the time and the date to
I sure
Mr.
will,
Gregory so we can
yes,
notify us and,
yes.
I'll promise, I'll make every effort that I can to be there.
Okay, and I would like for y'all to come out to see it. Thinking about doing another Christmas program, but I know I won't be able to do it because I have staples in my knee, so I won't be able to do it. I just have to wait and do it next year.
Ms. Ivory, what location was that?
At Maple Terrace,
Thank you.
in the community room.
Mm-hmm.
Sure you do your rehab.
Huh?
When you get your knee, make sure you work on that rehab.
Well, they say I've been in the hospital for 3 days,
Yeah.
and then the day after the surgery, they'll be taking me down to do the rehab, but then when I come home, they have a nurse coming out drawing blood, they have a therapy coming out doing rehab, but then each week I will have to go see the therapy and do
That's
the
key.
rehab.
That's key.
Therapy is important.
Yes,
Well, good luck.
thank you.
All right, Mr. Johnson.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robert Johnson. I'm a resident at Centennial House, 1630 Plum Street. I have a couple of concerns. I wish I had some more positive things to say like Ms. Ivory, but I don't. We've been having some concerns about fire exit being used. People coming in the building that's not supposed to be there. Recently got a TV stolen from the community room. And I spoke with quite a few of the residents there. The concern is retaliation from people coming in and knowing that they're the ones that spoke with management about any kind of little problems that are going on in the building. They're concerned about retaliation from the actual people who are committing crimes and doing things they're not supposed to be doing in the building. And they're concerned about retaliation from management when management is available. We're having problems with people wanting to speak up because there's been an influx of situations of eviction and non-compliance in the building. And that's one of my concerns. People are just afraid to speak with management and express their concerns, and that's been a big problem. Elderly, disabled people, handicapped mentally, physically, and they're feeling very unsafe. We were told we were supposed to be getting cameras in March, early March of this year, and we haven't seen any cameras. The lights have been going on and off in the front of the building since they did some tree trimming out there. And it's a bunch of safety concerns for people that are handicapped on the first floor. So I just, I just wanna see it get addressed, sooner than later. I don't personally have any, concern. I have a dog, so, but other people are expressing concerns about their safety, and it's a concern to me too, because they're my neighbors, and I care. So I'd like to see that be addressed, again, sometime soon.
Thank you. One thing I'll say to you is, I don't know why people are afraid of retaliation when people are coming in. If they turn around and call the police, the police will deal with that. As far as people coming in doors and stuff like that, people are not supposed to be on the property. We've got a community policing officer over there. If he's made aware of that, they should be handling those issues. So there should be no fear at all of any retaliation, because, when all you have to do is dial 911 or call the police, non-emergency number, and explain what's going on, and the police will investigate that.
I want to stay on my speeches. That sounds good, and it sounds like it's supposed to work, but obviously it doesn't, because we're still having concerns. We don't live in a time, a day and age where it's all right for you to call the police on somebody knowing you're the one that called the police. It doesn't work like that.
How do they know that you called police? Unless you tell them.
Well, I mean,
They don't know that you called police unless you tell them.
people talk. I saw a elderly gentleman in the hallway talking to the police Saturday night.
Yeah, sure.
He woke up Sunday morning and his windshield and his driver's side window was busted on his car.
Yeah, if he's talking to the police on the property, I can understand something.
Okay, so I mean that's a concern.
But you have to realize also that's where you live.
Right.
And the more you talk and the more information you give to the police, the quicker the problems are going to be solved. If you don't turn around and talk to the police, the problems won't be solved, and you're going to have to suffer through that for months and months and months.
No.
So there's a scale that you have to try to balance. So and I understand people's concerns about that, but the more times the police get called, the more that they're made aware of what's going on. If they're called once in 6 months, they don't know anything. If you call twice in a day, 3 times in a day, 4 times in a day, that sets a pattern. That social supervisor on the police department that, look, we've got something going over here, we need to turn around and pay attention to that. We can turn around, they can, I keep saying we, because I'm not. Right. They can look for calls of service there, see how many times that they're called, and from that they can gauge if they have an issue or not.
I'm sorry. Is there a way to set up something that makes that process easier for residents?
Well, I'm sure there's always a way. The issue with people getting in is, a lot of times there are people inside the apartment that are opening the doors so people can turn around and come in.
But that's what it's saying too, it's like you can't tell on those people because then they'll know who said something and then.
There's ways you can turn around
I mean, there's
education around that.
there's a lot of ways.
They obviously don't.
Absolutely, I agree.
There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways. I didn't mean to cut you both off. There's a lot of ways to deal with the situation. But if you're in a wheelchair and you don't know who's on the other side of that door, who's gonna come inside of that door while you're coming out of your apartment, that's a major concern.
Sure.
This is not brand new. Nothing's brand new going on here. This has been going on since I've been there. And I left Maple Terrace.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's a concern. It's a concentrated area where these things are happening. It's 2 or 3 major doors that they're using, so they're not seen by cameras.
Sure.
They're moving around the building. They come in the building and unlock a window in the community room and come through the window to open up the door for somebody else. So what I'm talking about is, and let's not kid each other. The police know what's going on. They know who they're looking for when they come in the building. They know how they get in, they know how they get out. Community officer, I guess he's a new officer over there. I haven't met him yet personally, but I was told he's a nice guy, and I haven't laid eyes on him yet.
Well, I think if you work with the manager through the police department, I think that you can turn around and get some of those issues solved.
Yeah, actually be there to manage the building.
Well, that's, like,
Here are the hours.
if you work.
They change.
Doesn't make any difference. If you work with the management, whenever they're there, you can always call, work with the management, address the issues that you have. I'm pretty sure they'll set up a meeting, and you talk to the community police officer, get to know him or her or whoever it is, and they'll deal with the issue. You know, but knowledge is the main thing. If they don't have knowledge, then there's nothing that they can do about it.
Right, well, I mean, knowledge and fear.
Right. Well,
Both of them working against elderly and
I
people who
understand.
can't defend themselves.
And the police department will do everything in their power to ease that fear. If we have honest and good discussions, they'll do everything in their power. And I can't say that they'll take all the fear away. They can't, you know. But I know that they'll do everything in their powers to turn around and resolve the issue. You just work through management and the police department.
Well, I was told that we were supposed to be getting cameras in the building, and that was over 6 months ago. You know, and I haven't heard anything else about it.
Okay, well,
Is that supposed to be happening, cameras in the building?
Yeah, the
What's the delay?
The biggest issue with the cameras is setup. It's cost and setup. It's not that we're not getting the cameras. We actually purchased a small wireless setup for cameras, but the reason we can't put them up, not that can't put them up, but haven't put them up, it's only because they don't cover enough space. So we need a more complicated system for that kind of a building. It worked very well at Eastwood because the center kind of allows us to put the camera lane outside and you can see more space. Inside we have to cover every hallway, every door, every entrance. So it's a more expensive system we have. Maple Terrace had an incident a few years ago that kind of prompted that. So they have a very, very complicated system there. It costs over $100,000. That is kind of the only holdup. It's coming up with the money to put in that kind of a system. It's not to say that we want, and it's not to say we don't have those plans. It's just a matter of making sure we're both making the best investment and also getting the right coverage out of it too.
So I understand a comprehensive system costs $100,000, but if I go over to Sam's Club, I think I can get one for $1,000, and our people can probably put it in.
That's what we did.
That might be a short-term
Sure.
solution,
And
you know, to alleviate. And even if the cameras don't work, people sometimes don't even know that they don't work, and it's a deterrent. So put up whatever we can here in the next couple of days, whatever we got, and then let's figure out a long-term solution later, you know, so I don't think it has to be exactly perfect right now, but let's do something to capture the two major doors that stuff is going on in,
absolutely.
okay? Sorry, Dave.
Thank you.
One more. Real quick.
Sorry, I know I spoke, but I just wanted to bring something to him. Just like over there in Maple Terrace, like people be over there, like you say, coming to the building, people let them in. And I've been called the police, and I had tenants coming to me, mad at me, talking about, well, you call the police, but like I told them, it ain't just for my concern, it's for everybody in this building, even the elderly people. So if you don't like it because I call the police and get them up here to take care of this, well, then you need to move. Because there's so many elderly people's up in that building. And one thing I can say, Roscoe and Robo, they have been doing an excellent job over there. I mean, Roscoe come in, won't leave out that building until he get who he comes to get. And I like that about him. I told him, I said, you know what, you need to come here more often. So I've been through it.
I mean, I would propose that, we need to fix this safety concerns at Centennial House. So we need some kind of plan to do that.
like I said, again, I think the plan is, if you get with the police department and have you talk to the area lieutenant, either area lieutenant or area commander, express the problem, set a meeting up with them, so that they can have police officers to walk through that building once or twice a day when they're not on call. It's easy to do. You just have to bring it to their attentions to tell them to get that done. And if you need me to help facilitate that, just let me know, and I'll definitely do it.
I would like to be there for that too, when you set that up.
Chief, point of clarification, when I was part of the downtown group, there was a sergeant that always came to those meetings, and he seemed to be on the cutting edge of the problems in the neighborhood. Would it be the sergeant or the lieutenants?
The lieutenant's in charge of the area. The lieutenant's in charge of a whole geographical area.
Okay.
He will turn around and make sure the sergeants are aware of what's going on. You can get a sergeant, it doesn't.
Because the sergeants are out still patrolling and they got the guys, right?
Absolutely. The sergeants are in charge of a certain number of police officers, and they respond to calls with them and to see what's going on, stuff like that. So the area sergeant should be made aware of it, the area lieutenant should be made aware of it. And they can set up, all you have to do is sit down with the tenants or sit down with management or whatever,
Yeah.
figure out what the problem is and turn around and we'll come up with it, but they should come up with a plan
Right.
it's not hard to probably squat, get out and squat, walk through a building,
Right.
For 5 minutes or 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times if necessary. And you got 3, 4 officers in the district.
Yeah. We never saw the lieutenants, but the sergeant was all over it all the time.
And
So he knew everything. That's why I'm asking.
And especially at nighttime, and that's when, depending on the cost for service at nighttime, sometimes it's nothing, so it's nothing for an officer to turn around and be able to walk through the building at night, see what's going on, so that's not that hard. All right, review of financial reports.
So for the month of August, got my months mixed up, sorry. For the month of August, the Housing Authority reported a $6,000 net profit, which between the two programs was a $42,000 profit in the public housing program and a $38,000 loss in the Section 8 program. The Section 8 loss is almost well, I don't say entirely, but mostly related to the HAP issue where we didn't receive as much money from HUD as we had to pay out for HAP. That was basically 70% of the loss, and that's fine because that kind of loss you'll experience that for a few months, and then HUD will kind of recalculate everything. So you'll see a little bit more money in the later months, to kind of address that issue. So that's not a major concern. Agency-wide, we're still running at a $325,000 net profit. So this year in particular, we've been doing a lot better financially than we have in previous years. That's a good thing. And again, you're going to see starting next month, you're going to start getting in a react mode here. So we'll have 6 months of react, preparation, physical inspection stuff before we have those inspections or around March. So we're hoping to a lot of that, we're hoping to see a lot of activity. That $325,000 will go down, I would say, by a reasonable amount, simply because we're going to start doing a lot of that prep work to kind of get those properties back into to high scoring shape like we did last year. So, any questions about the financials? Any questions about the list of bills?
Move on to departmental reports.
So we had a busy last 30 to 60 days here. First thing is we had the auditors that were on site. They came and did their normal check. They were here for about 3.5 days where they kind of run through all of our files. They test the financials. Nothing major came up. The one thing I noted in the reports, one of our scoring categories will go down. It's called the month's expendable net asset ratio, or the MENAR. It's as a scoring metric for HUD. It basically just shows our reserves versus our average monthly expenses. The reason that number is going to go down is because remember last year we spent a very large sum of money on the repairs that we did to the property so that we get the physical inspection scores up. We had the intended result. The physical inspection scores did go up significantly. However, as a result, our monthly expenditures went up, and as a result, our reserves went down. So the math that goes into the MENAR will result in a lower score. It should only be a one-time, one-year kind of event. It shouldn't have a major impact on the overall scoring of the agency either. I don't expect us to be anything other than a standard performer. I would be surprised to see anything lower than that. But I just wanted you guys to know that number, that final ratio is not going to come out probably until January or February, but just so you know kind of ahead of time, that's the reasoning why you're going to see that number go down. Yes, sir.
How much was that spent specifically on that?
Close to $500,000.
Year?
Well, we probably went through almost $500,000 on the upgrades for the REACT work. In a normal year, that entire $500,000 wouldn't have been spent. Now, off the top of my head, I don't know the exact numbers, but the average monthly expenditures would have gone up significantly because of that kind of 3-month period where we were.
In a normal year, is it like half that, or is it
about 2/3? Yeah, I mean, the $500,000 is what we added to our normal expenses. So we're about a $3 million overall agency. So now we're $3.5 million in expenditures on that program. Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry. I think we're on the
We
financials.
spend $3 million a year in general taking care of the properties.
Mhm. So we have some good news. Our tax credit deals, we talked about earlier, the Campana Factory project and the Aurora Arts project both received tax credits in the same tax credit funding round, which is excellent for us. It's excellent for kind of continued development. That's been really, really good news for us. I think the article came out I think last week in regards to those projects. So that's been great. You kind of look at that kind of overall too, because it kind of might kind of lose track of what we really are doing here. Those two make our third and fourth overall active tax credit project. That's largely unprecedented territory for most agencies. I mean, even your Chicago's are doing, they're doing 4 a year, and here, we're here a third, a tenth of their size, and we're doing 4 active tax credit deals at one time. That's for us. That's very, very impressive in my opinion. I've worked with some agencies that do a lot of tax credit development. Pittsburgh stops at 2. They set a capacity. They say we can do 2 a year. And we don't have a problem doing 4. We do it fairly well. We're pretty efficient with them. Our development partners have been great. So the fact that that's something that we can kind of hang our hat on and say, look, we do 4 a year, and we have 4 active tax credit deals, and it doesn't slow us down. It doesn't complicate what we do. So that's kind of a big thing for us. Something that we can definitely kind of be proud of. To kind of put all of that in the context, we've helped create 242 units of housing over the last 2.5 years, and up to just around $100 million in total activity. So we're making a big impact, and these are impacts that are both market rate and affordable housing. So we're getting a good mix. We're out there with the scatter site project that we're going to open up next month. We're out in the neighborhoods rehabbing homes. So it's been a wide variety of project types, and I will have a wide variety of impacts as well. So I think that's very phenomenal, and it says a lot about not just the staff, which I'm very thankful to the staff for being able to work through what's necessary to get these projects off the ground, but also it says a lot about the kind of board that you guys have been supportive of these kind of projects and allowing us to really take on some of these more complicated activities. So it's, I think, a thank you to the board for letting us really get into those projects as well.
Way to go, Chief.
Just to piggyback on that a little bit, Ray and I had some discussions about some of these projects, and it seems like when we get a little press for it, we don't get a lot of press. I had some conversation with Keith as far as, I think we need to do something as far as, I'm not gonna say a better job, because we've never really done it, but as far as marketing the housing authority, just to let some people know the positives. I mean, the public years ago heard that there was major issues with the housing authority, issues between the housing authority and the city, so on and so forth. Well, now we've come full circle in the sense where we don't have any issues with the city, and things are moving along very well. And we're an integral part of some of the stuff that's going on in the city. So I think, we need to figure out amongst ourselves. We don't have to pat our backs on everything that goes on there. Sometimes it might behoove us not to mention, certain things that are happening out there in the community. But I still think that we need to somehow figure a way that we can take advantage of some of the positives that are happening. Wade, do you want to?
Yeah, so I'll be a little bit more blunt. When I read a newspaper article and it talks about the city of Aurora, and it talks about Seize the Future, and it talks about Wabansie, and none of these projects would happen unless we get involved in it, it kind of irks me a little bit, because, dude, we were getting our butts handed to us 4 or 5 years ago. All this negative press, my name's negative, I mean, we're associated with all this. Now we're kind of kicking some butt here, and we're doing some really positive, unbelievable things. How many new housing places?
246.
And we're getting squando. I don't think that's, number one, fair. I don't think that helps our organization. And you're right, we've never really done that before. So I'm kind of, and this is why I've been meaning to call you, by the way. I would have told you in private, but now I got to tell you in public. You need to do a better job, Keith, of any article that comes out that doesn't mention the Aurora Housing Authority. You need to call the reporter up and say, look, this wouldn't be happening without us doing this, and get some positive press for us.
It might behoove us to turn around and call and sit down with them and turn around and explain what's going on, what we've been involved in the community, and maybe they'll they have a slow day or something, maybe they'll run a little article or something like that, but, I agree, I think, you know, again, because of previous issues, I think the public needs to know, you know, that we're increasing the housing and affordable housing, especially and stuff here in the city, so,
Absolutely.
I'm saying that issue.
I'll get to work on that.
I just happened to get some barbecue and I read the article that morning, the chief shows up at the same barbecue place. That's how that whole conversation happened. That's the actual how it happened, so.
Does everybody agree with that on the board?
I do, because I think that, I mean, I know the city is out promoting these developments, and then they push the fact that the tax credits from the state of Illinois were an integral part of funding it, because they don't want that to be the story. They want the story to be that the, you know, the Wabansie building's being redeveloped.
Right.
Sure.
So, but I think that, when you talk about homes that were, you know, blighted being rebuilt, and you talk about, you know, giving kids $5,000 and $10,000 scholarships to go to college, and you talk about all these different things that are positive, that weren't positive before, I think we should absolutely be talking about it, because it's, I think to the point that's being made is that the activity here is positive, and where in the past it might have been viewed as negative, it's not, so.
I just think that maybe not in every article do we want or need to be, might go counterproductive to
And I agree.
what our partners want in those situations.
Well, I mean, look, we can sit down and talk to partners also, but for us to, like you said, for us to zero, you know, it's just, I think we're doing fantastic things for the community, I think, you know, that needs to be expressed.
I agree, and I think, quite honestly, nobody knows outside of this room or a certain circle, nobody knows what's happening as far as AHA is concerned. I've always been trying to tell you that there needs to be some good public relations as far as the housing authority is concerned, because there's a lot of things that they've done that are humongous that nobody would be none the wiser unless they were in this room.
And I think, I mean, kind of both the Campana building that's talked about here, and the next bullet point talking about the St. Charles Hospital, I think the other part of it too is that Aurora Housing Authority is broadened outside of Aurora in terms of what we're doing, which I think is positive for, I think it's positive for all the folks that are gonna receive those benefits, and I think it's positive that we have a wider fingerprint in our community too.
Look, we're gonna get bad press.
Absolutely.
It's just gonna happen, it's just the nature of the beast. But we gotta counterbalance that with some good things that we're doing too.
We haven't had any bad press in a few years, I don't think.
I try to keep things
All
quiet.
it takes is one thing happening
To my
next
point.
week.
To my point.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I will get to work on that. Just two more, and they're on the same vein. The St. Charles Hospital project, we were just talking about that.
I'm not looking for that.
Goes to lease up, probably in January, they'll start leasing up. So if you haven't driven by, the building is coming to kind of last steps. We did a walkthrough, Maria and I, and Megan from Occupancy kind of walked through the building. It's in phenomenal shape. They've done an excellent job kind of getting the building back up to usable standards. They still got some work to do, but they don't have to have it done until beginning of December. So I think they'll be right on target with that. So,
The outside looks amazing.
Yeah.
they've done some great work.
I mean, amazing.
They've been a wonderful partner. So they were here. They sat down with us. So they're ready to lease up. And also out of that, I think we're working on them. We might be able to get one more person to rent out some space from us over at Plum Street. So a little more non-federal revenue for us. Kind of a central location for all of the leasing activities. Both Brenshaw and the Very Green guys will be in that building working together doing the leasing. So there's been some positives all around, with that project. It's really, it's just been kind of a really good project. The other thing is, you all know, you got the grand opening announcement on the 24th of October for the Fox Prairie Homes of Brenshaw project. It's going to be at the Octagon House over on North Avenue. It's 83 North Avenue, I believe. It's the last house that they have to finish construction on, which if you ever drive by, you'll see people kind of working on the lower level. So
What time is that?
2 o'clock. And that might change. That's the approximate time for now. The weather might dictate some things differently and around that time of year, but that's the plan. So we're looking forward to that as well. And then Commissioner Richard sent me an email earlier today, so I don't know if you had some questions you wanted to raise.
No, I just kind of want to update on just how things are going with the relationship between the housing authority and the residents, and you know, we've had some different things like that come up as it came up today. And I was curious as to what you feel like your role is in dealing with those types of things, how closely you monitor that. Do you ever spend time at the different places, maybe Terrace, Centennial House, and things like that? Or also just how things are going with staff, and I know we've had some turnover and some new people, some people leaving, so I just want to kind of get some updates on the staffing as well. And so that's what I was asking.
I would say, when it comes to our relationship with the residents, I think it's a mixed bag a little bit. I think there are certainly, when you talk to, for example, Ms. Ivory pointed out some very good things about the change in Maple Terrace, where if you remember 2 years ago, Maple Terrace was a place where we had people showing up and they were unhappy and everything. So I think it comes and goes. You're going to have good times and bad times. It seems like Mr. Johnson has some concerns about, Centennial House, and we'll address those as we always do. So I think the relationship in and of itself overall has remained the same. I mean, certainly, again, you're going to have, I think we'll have times where things are better and things are worse. I know when I first got here, we were having some issues at Eastwood that we worked through and got dealt with. So it's always going to be something. I don't think there's ever going to be a time. I would actually be more concerned if there was ever a time where nobody was here telling us anything, or if there were 80 people in here telling us something. I think when it's too quiet, something's wrong. Kind of like we have kids. If it's too quiet, something's not right. So the fact that people are coming here and telling us what's going on, it says, one, that they have faith that we're going to do something about it. And the fact that they come here and express that to you all at this setting seems that they feel comfortable that not only are you all listening, but that they're going to be heard. So I think overall we have a good rapport with the residents. There are always going to be things that need to be repaired and fixed, and we'll address those. In regards to the staff, I thought you had another question about how often I get out to the sites. I apologize. Honestly, to be fair, not that much. And it's just not the kind of thing. I mean, I trust Maria, and in Section 8, when Sue was here, I trusted Sue and our new ACV director. I trust them as well to really oversee that piece of the business. It's kind of like, asking how often, I'm not saying your question shouldn't be asked, but it's kind of like how often do I fix a furnace? I don't. And if you saw me fixing the furnace, you would say, hey, why are you wasting your time fixing the furnace? It's not that it's not important. It's that there are things that I think I trust. I trust Jimmy's crew to fix the furnaces, and I trust Sue's or whoever's team to handle HCV. I trust Maria, and I think they've all done an excellent job at doing it. Do I try to get out, as I can? Yeah, sure. I mean, Monday, Maria and I did a little tour. We did Centennial House, Maple Terrace, and we did Indian Trail or Southwind too. So when I have some opportunity, I get out, and I want to get out more. It's just, I can't say that I'm out on a regular basis, and to be honest, I would be misleading if I said that I really thought that I needed to be out, more. Maybe that's something the board says, hey, you do need to be out more, and that's direction I would gladly take. I just, from the way I have seen things work, I have a good amount of faith in the staff to get that done. And in regards, I'm sorry.
On that vein, I think, but we're all busy, because I know I am. But I think it might be a good thing if we can find some time, maybe individually, to go out with Keith to some of these sites, so that we also get a better idea of what's going on and what the visual is out there. So I mean, that might be a good thing to do with some of the staff. So it serves two purposes. Keith gets out there a little bit, and then we're a little bit more aware of issues, and that public can see us, knowing, hopefully maybe they won't know who we are, but we can always introduce ourselves and say, hello, we're board members, and how's things going, and we can address them one-on-one. So that might be a good.
I think there was a point in time, I think when some of you came on the board, we did that.
Yes.
I think you and I went, and I don't know if I went with a couple of the people on the board. So we've done that a few times. And then I guess to your statement about staff, I would say, at least to my knowledge, that things are going well. Again, during my review process, during the evaluations you guys do, I think part of the process is conducting a kind of an anonymous process with staff to make sure you're getting that feedback. So I think if there's something, that staff has a problem, I think they would tell you. I don't think anybody has a issue coming forward, especially in an agency like this one. I don't think anybody has an issue coming forward. But again, I think that it's kind of hard for me to quantify my own leadership. It's kind of like quantifying how much I've grown over the last year. I mean, you don't know you're growing while you're doing it. You don't realize it until you look back and realize your clothes don't fit anymore. So I would encourage, if you have, I guess, concerns and or questions, just looking for feedback, to reach out to the directors, the people that work with me or who work for me, who have that day to day, and let them tell you exactly how they feel about the work that I do. And the same from you guys. I mean, when something needs done, I certainly expect it, and would hope that you would tell me, hey, look, this isn't going just like we just did. I need to do some things. That's, I think, what we're all. I embrace that. And so if there is something that I'm not doing, please, by all means, I might not, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna be happy about it, but it's part of the job. I have to be able to accept that. So, hope that answered your question, sir.
So this kind of struck me as they're talking. There's some of these organizations, you see it, kind of police departments, seen it with the schools. They do like the listening tours, and part of that, that's kind of. I was gonna say there's a negativity to it because not too many people are gonna show up to listening tour to say, hey, great, thanks for everything. Usually the people in the listening tour are gonna tell you, but it's like I think that maybe if you think about maybe a format where you could do something like that in each of the buildings, that might help. With the listening tour comes the accountability of kind of figuring out what you're going to work on after that, but that might be an area that it's worth thinking about a plan there.
Sure.
How many facilities do we have, Keith?
5.
Should you walk through, like with Jimmy, one of those facilities once a month? That's a question.
I prefer not.
I get it, Jimmy. But my question was to Keith.
What I can say, I don't think that's an unreasonable request. Like I said, for me, it's
And again, it's just a question.
no, I don't think it's an unreasonable request. I think for me, it's just setting aside the mental time and saying, this is what I am going to dedicate this day of this month to
And
do.
Jimmy definitely needs to set aside the mental
And
time.
I need to give Jimmy like a week set aside to do that. During React time is the time I do actually get to be out at the sites a lot more. I know last year I spent a lot of time. I was out once a week, pretty much at every site, walking the sites. And Maria probably got tired of driving me around, but just to make sure things are happening. So it maybe it's the kind of thing that shouldn't stop at React time. It can't be every week, but it's just an ongoing thing. Where
I'm just saying once a month.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Walton used to do that, and he did okay.
Yeah, he might know a little thing or two.
And you're kind of on the same track, so.
A few billion less, but yeah,
They did call us Glenn and all.
That's true. So there you go.
This guy.
That's because Sam Walton stopped going through the store.
That's right.
Are there any other questions?
Just a question, suggestion.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. If no, I'll catch you while you're writing and give it over to Maria.
Kind of piggyback on the whole Keith and Jimmy out there, then that means I have to go too, because I got to keep them in line.
No question about that.
See, we should have just had Maria go.
I usually am at the sites. So kind of, again, going along with, it's not in the report, but I did want to mention, I do get out to the sites quite often, especially right now. We did actually, kind of tying into Dave, what you were mentioning, turnover with some staff. We did actually have an unexpected vacancy at one of our property manager positions. So we're scrambling around to, make sure the coverage is there. I've been there at Maple Terrace a few days out of the week when I can, making sure we're getting the coverage as much as possible at all of the sites. We did actually hire from within. We do have one of our assistant property managers is now going to be our property manager for Centennial and Eastwood, and that would be Candace. So I am on the the hunt for an assistant property manager to fill her positions, and she's taken on a new role. And Victoria's actually gonna be moving on over to Maple Terrace and Southland. So, starting, interviews pretty soon, so I'm hoping within the next couple weeks I can find a great candidate to fill that spot. In the meantime, you have the other information there. You've got your waiting list numbers up at the top. You've got your public housing. We currently have 581 applicants. Voucher program, we have 99, and we have the project base at 548. We did actually issue some housing choice vouchers. These are people that have been sitting on our waiting list ready and pretty much paperwork completed and all that. So instead of having to update them every 120 days, we said, let's go ahead and issue those vouchers. So that's what those three are. Caseworkers conducted their annual research, interims. We only had one recoup that totaled $315. Brought some information there for you. We did take LIHEAP training, as well as we did set up dates to take applications, both at Centennial and at Maple Terrace, and this would have been for the elderly and disabled. And then we'll have future dates coming for family sites as well. And then down towards the bottom there, you see some of the events that have happened at the various sites. Any questions or anything?
Kind of got a couple comments. The Comcast did come out. They just popped up at our door. Didn't like it at all. I did really good, and I didn't be mean to them. But I don't appreciate that. All the residents know everyone has my cell phone. Like I stated before, I don't have any family or friends in Aurora. I mean, I have friends, no family.
I'm hurt.
Sorry. But nobody should be just knocking at my door. I see it as a community safety issue. I'm a single mom. A man knocking on my door without maintenance. Maintenance is in the area, and if needed to be, could be called. They said if someone was not at home and they needed to gain interest, but just random guys knocking on my door was not cool. One, from the last board meeting, it was stated that there was gonna be another meeting with Comcast to see how everything's gonna work out. One, with me being on the board, and also with me just being around, and I try to keep my ear to the ground for news. To not even get any kind of notice, was pretty upset. Of course, and a few residents still, like I asked the resident, say, hey, did you get your internet? She's like, no, because she works, and I wasn't at home. And there was still no kind of notice. So my point is, I'm going to the communication thing, not just about like good press or bad press stuff, but anything. I'm not saying reinvent the wheel. I'm saying use what we used to. Sorry, but I love Maria when she was our property manager. She communicated on a regular basis. We got letters out regarding things. Just reminders, simple reminders. We got notices when things were gonna happen. It's like no communication at all from the office. And then I guess, I don't know where the blame falls from Comcast or who, or why not one resident was notified that they were coming out.
I'll comment on that. Originally, the communication was going back and forth with Comcast. They originally gave us a date range, and there was no really confirmation that that's their set dates. So one day they just showed up and said, hey, we're here to install. So I do apologize. We didn't receive confirmation on that and didn't allow us time. I did actually try and reschedule so we could give the tenants, plenty of time to let them know, hey, this is what's gonna happen, this is what these people are gonna be coming in to do in your units. Because they were already on site on some of those that they went around ahead, with or without maintenance, and said, let's see if we can get a few of those installed, since it's something that we're gonna have to do anyways.
Yeah.
So I do apologize for that, but that was a communication error between
Because I'm sure that
Comcast and
they,
ourselves with with the dates.
I'm sure that they spent half their day explaining and begging people. I promise we with Comcast, we just here to give you free internet. I mean, that's how they have to go to people. That should have been the issue. That should have been a prior notice. Because they had to talk to me and go, I'm like, what? No, I'm on board. I ain't heard nothing. Like, no, I talked to 2 different supervisors. And then the day before, because I have my phone records to prove, I called Comcast because all of a sudden I got an email. Your service will be installed. Thank you for scheduling an appointment for October 12th. And I was like, I didn't call. I'm like, is that something to do with AJ? So I'm thinking it's October 12th. So I got this email because my account is already active. And when I called, the lady was like, no, it must be something remotely gonna be done on October 12th. I don't see anything, ma'am. And so I was on phone with customer service the day before. I understand there's probably different departments, but yeah, that was just. So another thing is just communication, period. You have a Facebook page, because I have the magnets, received magnets from you with the new emergency number, but there was nothing properly sent out to residents. I can't remember the last notice of a letter. Like, I have the old ones that Maria used to send out of, hey, summertime's coming up, or remember about parking, remember about you are responsible for your guests. Just the whole different things that, remember when there's trash outside of your house, you have to pick it up. I mean, just little things to communicate, hey, there was a change in this. I think I asked before for a letter when the new property manager was coming in. So a letter was placed on the door, but not sent out to residents. So with this new change coming, it would be awesome to get a letter on AHA letterhead stating, this is your property manager, to that, and with the phone number, hours, or whatever information that residents need. I don't know what information can be posted on Facebook, but whatever can be done for better communication, because it's just not good, not happening.
Well, and certainly, it's easy for us to blame Comcast and say, okay, well, but at the end of the day, and not to take anything away from Maria and her staff, but it's our responsibility. Your guys are our residents, you're our customers, so it's our responsibility to make that communication, and it's something that we will definitely discuss and get taken care of.
Hey Keith, just an idea for you. I was at a training session last week. You can get an app now for your organization, literally for less than $1,000. Okay, one-time app, and then there's like a monthly maintenance thing. So maybe it's time for the Aurora Housing Authority to get an app where you get that app, and boom, if something's happening over here, everybody that's kind of subscribed to it will get a notice. Hey, Comcast is in the building. Because you might not see your email for 5, 6, 7 hours, right?
Yeah.
But if it's on an app and it shows a little alert, everybody's looking at their phone. You may want to consider that. I think it's inexpensive, great communication.
Yeah, you can send me the name of the company.
Another thing, because I was thinking about, I know of course East Aurora High School is different, but just the school system from the different things, or different forms of communications, from the robocalls. I know people, because the school has the problem too, where people will change their phone numbers, change their, or address changes, and their child is at the school for I don't know how many hours and they can't get in contact. So anyway, I understand, so someone gonna say, well, I didn't get it, well, your number changed and your unit updated, whatever. But there's different ways. I don't know how, whatever, because if a robocall would've went out, Eastwood, Comcast is out here today, so if you see men, they're coming in too. I don't know, I mean, I'm just saying, don't have to reinvent the wheel, use what's out there. From social media, robocalls, emails, newsletters, something, is better than nothing.
Absolutely. Any other questions from Maria?
I don't know if this is the proper place to ask, but, did I miss the intern presentations for this year?
The intern schedule didn't at all coincide. They needed out at very random times. So we actually did their presentations in-house. We had a couple of people come in and kind of view their presentations. And again, they did excellent presentations. They were last month on the 19th. But it just the timing really didn't work out for having them back at the board meeting like we did last year.
But you got good information, like,
Actually, yeah, so one of them, we had them kind of, this year we changed it, so we focused on a goal. So they all kind of had a presentation that complemented each other. So they all kind of, together, the three presentations together kind of created a total product. So one young lady, her presentation was on, it was all gold around the tiered housing program. So basically, her presentation was how to present put together an application, a process, so that you can apply to streamline that process. Because right now that process is still a little fuzzy as to how people get in. Do we choose? How do they give us their notice that they're interested? So we actually had her. She's a sociology major, so she put together an application that would help people to just very cleanly, say that they're interested in the program. But it also helped us by giving us some metrics that we could use to determine, whether somebody qualified or was going to be a long-term, success story in that program. So she put together that piece. The second piece that we had, a young lady was an architecture major. So she actually went through and looked at how 5 of our scattered site properties, our tiered housing properties, are designed, the current floor plans, the layouts, and then she redesigned them from the ground up as if we were going to tear them, gut rehab them, and really kind of laid out a more modern floor plan that kind of made better use of the space, that used different colors, different materials to take our properties really to the next level of in appearance. And also, one of the things psychologically that the two young ladies kind of worked together and kind of pointed out was people tend to behave differently if they're given different settings. If people are put in, darker, less well lit, they have, there's more like for depression and things like that. Well, whereas if you put somebody in a nicer environment, brighter colors, bigger spaces, more open space, more space to communicate, they tend to, socially and psychologically feel better. So she redesigned 5 of our properties to have this new, much more modern approach. And then finally, Yi Lee, she actually did economic analysis on all of those 5 properties and then determined market values, what kind of rents we'll need to be getting to make the transition from a standard unit to an upgraded unit truly viable. How do we take those units, now they've been upgraded and they have these higher rents, how do we include that in our analysis to show that there's an economic impact? How does it affect the neighborhood? How does it affect the houses around the property that we've done these upgrades? So the 3 of them together really created gave us a new point of view on the tiered housing program, because it has the potential to be a lot more than just nicer houses and higher rents. I think the one thing that we really took away from the presentations was that there's this opportunity to really drastically change more than just an income statement or balance sheet. You can change people and you can change communities just through improving a house or 2. So they were good presentations.
so time well spent for them, they
Absolutely.
gain knowledge, good investment for us to
Absolutely,
get
yeah.
information.
Yeah, I think it's always been a two-way street. Our interns have really been good for us and for them. I think we've had some interns use the experience to get jobs after college, and some of those jobs have actually been beneficial for us. I have a contact over at JP Morgan's Affordable Housing Underwriting Division, because Logan, who was in our first year internship program, I did a recommendation letter for him to get a job, but he got a job, introduced me to his boss. Now if we have questions, when we do these tax credit deals, if I have questions about how it's going to be underwritten, I can pick up the phone and call somebody. So it's been good all the way around. It's a great program.
Do you have executive summaries on those that we can get you?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
If there no other questions, Jimmy's been holding on anxiously to give his report.
With the change of weather and stuff, starting September 1st through June 1st, we're required by the city ordinance to maintain a certain heat level, which I gave you all schedule as far as determine on what part of the day it is. So in order to do that, we have been restocking all our materials and stuff, and we're in the process of taking our snow blowers and stuff and getting them repaired or whatever. Well, we also got our boilers at Maple Terrace and Centennial House. They're up and running, so they're ready to go. I think the last day or so we probably actually kind of fired them up a little bit there. And as far as Comcast, I actually went out over at Southman, I actually went out with them and knocked on doors and stuff like that. And I always had one of the maintenance guys there in case they needed to had any issues or stuff like that. As far as, and I would basically most of the time just stay with them, because sometimes it took 15-20 minutes, and instead of having maintenance guys standing there, so. But they were always, you know, the residents always, you know, they can always come to us if they have any concerns and stuff, 'cause I always try to make sure, especially when we have contractors out that, maintenance guys are kinda visible in case they have any concerns and stuff like that. We did have some lead-based paint testing done over at Maple Terrace and Centennial House. I didn't get the full results, but over at Maple Terrace, they just found one door, which will rectify, and as far as I know right now, there was nothing over at Centennial House. And there again, we actually had a maintenance guy with them all through all the units. And also they checked, the stairwells and the common areas and stuff like that, so they just finished up, I believe, today. And we've been doing, some fixing up of some of the rooms over at Maple Terrace for some of the new agencies that'll be coming in.
Any questions for Jim?
Old business, any old business? No. New business, I got, two things right off the bat, everybody knows Mariana's not with us here today, one of the reasons, well, the reason is that she resigned before. She sent me a letter the day before yesterday stating that, her other obligations are really, increasing and stuff, so that, she's not gonna be able to continue with this, and, I wish her well and thank her, for the board. So I guess I'll have to reach out to, the city. See what their pleasure is gonna be, and as we all know, that the mayor's not gonna, he's only got another month in office, so, I don't know how they're gonna figure that out, but we'll have to, I'll talk to somebody here shortly and see what we can, get accomplished as far as replacement. Second point of business, probably should have talked about this, and it escaped me last month, I probably should have mentioned it, but, it's evaluation time for Keith. I believe we were supposed to have it completed by the end of this month, according to our guidelines, and I sort of dropped the ball on that, so, we need to, I guess, discuss how we wanna go about doing it this year. The last 2 years, I think we used the format that, Dave, was able to acquire, come up with. Any suggestions? I think we could probably, if nobody has any, objections, probably continue in the same vein that we did last year. You're somewhat new to the board, so we might have to turn around and just excuse you this year from filling out that, because it wouldn't be fair to you. Just wondering if I can get, Dave to,
I'd be happy
To
to show
volunteer.
anybody how I've done that over the last few years. So if anybody wants, I'll be happy to pass all the information that I have and.
It might be a thought, just since Joe's not, if you're saying Joe's not gonna do it, it might be useful to just have him actually do the process so that you guys can do the actual
I
review.
would agree with you. I'd make
Just give them all.
Just trying to keep you from getting out of work. that's
Yeah,
all.
I see that. Well, the rest of us might be gone and you'll still be.
I think I'm gonna be on
She
vacation.
put everything together and then, we all filled along visually. They also were sent to the staff, to fill out. And then I think we would all kind of go over that stuff. And then I think me and Chief in our last year, went and just discussed it with Keith, so.
So the consultant made the, survey and then also returned information back in and she compiled it?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep. And then once we had it all, I think we go into closed session or something, discuss it, and then kind of have a meeting with Keith a few days or a week after, shortly after.
well, if Joe is amenable, if you and Joe can get together, maybe talk to her, and since you have the contact with the young lady, can you call her and see if she's, willing and able, because I mean, we certainly will pay her, we'll pay her standard fee, whatever it is, and,
Okay.
I like that.
I appreciate that.
White Cat.
And it now starts.
See, there it goes.
Dude, just go to the barbecue place.
Somebody's barbecue place.
Somebody's always there. Somebody's always
McDonald's
there.
works for me.
Any other new business?
Not new business, just wanna, share that Eastwood Tenant Council meetings will start back, the month of October. So and it usually first Monday of the month, it's like coincide with the school year, so October 3rd at 6 p.m., usually it's at 5:30, so time change from 5:30 to 6 p.m. due to mainly me getting off work, being able to go and get the meeting set up on time. So our first meeting will be Monday, October 3rd at 6 p.m. And then every first Monday after that, up till June, except right now, January is to be determined due to January 2nd being observed as New Year's Day in the business world. So,
Any other new business? We have nothing to go into closed session for, so I will entertain a motion to get out of here.
Take a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion to say, any questions? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
So that meeting on the 24th is here.